liked it, and I was thinking, it instantly reminded me of Constable, the artist.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. Did you see the Constable show years ago at the Huntington?
Yes, I did. I was the one who did the demo out in the front of it.
Oh, missed that.
So I demonstrated his techniques. I was out in the front, and so it was pretty cool. I had a big crowd of people, and people were talking to me from like Sweden and Japan and
cool.
all over. So it was.
Well, it was an astounding show.
Yeah.
Fabulous show.
You know what? I'll let's see. What I can do here is screen share. The Constables.
Ooh.
Colors.
Yes.
It would be England, not Holland. England.
Constable landscape.
Yeah, I don't know where they took the photograph, but it sort of reminded me of things I've seen. I think they used to call these kind of paintings pastoral paintings.
Yes.
But I saw one, where is it? Really stormy clouds. Let's see here. And there's a Turner too. Turner, I mean, he definitely did stormy situations, but he works on a lighter type of palette. So I immediately thought Constable when I thought of these. So
The photo you sent said River Waal, W-A-A-L. So that sounds like in the Netherlands.
Oh, it is? Okay, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So that would be, who would have painted that? Like Rembrandt and Rubens? And I don't know. So anyway,
Very interesting shapes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was reacting to. So here's an example of his watercolor style. I don't know if we can,
I like that.
that's a small piece. You know, I also have one over here. Let me stop the screen share and go over to this one. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so not extremely colorful, but
there's a lot of movement.
yeah.
Wow.
Kind of romantic, they call this not you know, more in the romantic style of painters, which is really dramatic. See the very subtle cloud shadows, and then the silhouettes of the trees up against the light. So you tend to get, you know, dark where there's a cloud shadow, and then a spotlight where you might have a. You want to go? Let me get my little thing here. Oh,
Are you recording, Rob?
I should be. Am I? Is it
Yes,
tape?
you are.
Is this a Turner?
Yeah, this is Constable. So we have light and then shadow, and then, you know, it just goes on light, shadow, light, shadow, light, shadow. Way off into.
Yeah.
Oops. It was pretty interesting. The rolling clouds. Big forms. And when, so let's hop out of here. And I'll bring up, there it is. So our painting. Well, let's just take a quick look at it. Actually, you know what? Let's just do our steady. In fact, I didn't even think about that. I'm working on rough paper today. I thought that might, I don't know, push the roughness, sort of a rough subject matter. Okay. Let me put you up to the side over here. And so, do these. Oh God, I like to do these in my sketchbook. Let's see.
Rob, could you mute everybody to,
Excuse me?
could you mute everyone because some people are not muted?
Let's see, let me find my participants here. All right, we got some, let me mute. Okay. Okay. And look where the horizon is, way down. So if here's a halfway point between here and here, the halfway point's way in the sky. This is about at the 1, 2, almost a little above 1/4. So when you're looking at the land being that far away, you're going to get a lot of things really flattening out. Like let's say our river over here, maybe it comes right off the page. And I don't know how much foreground will show. We'll see. Something like that. It's showing more foreground than me, so I can bring my thing. I don't think I need to show that much foreground, but we'll just start there. Maybe we'll take it out. Who knows? And there are, if you look really hard, there are some little cows in there. They're just little, in proportion to everything else. They're pretty darn small. But I like to put a few things out there that kind of get my brain thinking in terms of size of things. So, and I just lay my trees out kind of like little lollipops, you know.
Rob, how big do you think the original was on this? Is this a huge painting or is this a small painting?
Painting? This isn't a painting.
Oh, is it a photograph? It looks like a, oh, okay, never mind.
I mean, you could tell though that the photographer really went into it. Yeah, really went into it and over dramatized it. So there's some things back there, some trees. Got another tree around here. And trees, and more trees. Stuff way along, really far away at the horizon. See at the very end how he has this one going like this? That's a stop. No question he put that there for that reason. And little stops here along the way. See the little darks? I don't even know if those are trees or not. I have to really blow this thing up to see. Yeah, little trees and such. Little stops here and there. Maybe what we'll do is throw in a little bit of background landscape way back here. Really light stuff. I sort of put that one dead center, didn't I? I mean, it is kind of in the center. I think it'll get lost in the rest of them. That's probably why it's not a big deal, because it's not that prominent. Okay, and then we have clouds. We have one, like the most major cloud would be up to here, so I would probably indicate where that is first. And then we have a much smaller cloud around here. And then somewhere in there. And you can be really literal about it, or you can just use this as sort of an idea about clouds that you want to entertain and play with. Got some darkies coming down from the top here. Those are important. Really they kind of keep the viewer's eye down into the piece. Okay. And back here we have just overlapping and overlapping and overlapping all the way back. And they get much lighter down here on the horizon. And if you'll notice that a lot of these clouds, really have a bottom to them. I just use the side of my pencil there, hit some bottoms of the clouds. This one's much more up into the foreground, so you see the bottom and it carries way up into the cloud because other things are blocking the way, so creating much more of a shadow in there. But if you could think of all of these forms, all of these, not only the clouds, but also the trees as just balls of, I can zoom into this a little bit more. They're just balls. So the light comes from here and everything down below and to this side is in shadow. And then it's just how you play the edges. Now with these sort of maybe just after a rain kind of clouds, they might still be heavy with some water in them. So you may get a fairly dark shadow. But if you notice, the shadows get quite a bit lighter as you get further away. And that's just atmospheric perspective. So something like that. Maybe we have a darker sky. You really can't even see the sky back here. If you squint your eyes, even the lights on these trees are pretty dark. Now this foreground tree would be your lightest maybe, and it's a pretty dark light. So these all go in pretty dark. I mean, we've got stuff in the background. We'll just work it away from the background to the foreground, I think. And it's pretty dark back here. Probably could have got this tree a little bit bigger. But that'll be fine for now. Now sometimes these background trees can get pretty darn dark because they've got some big clouds hovering over them, creating dark shadows. And I'm just gonna really see how I just very lightly hit that background. So it just looks like light stuff way back there. And then this stuff here gets pretty dark. And I treat all of these trees like just balls of foliage. And it's pretty dark in those shadows. That allows me to get pretty dark with the lights. So even this, it's a pretty dark light, and then I get really dark with the shadow. And everything has a shadow on the ground underneath it, if you can see. And if you can see the ground, like definitely under here and under here, you're getting shadow underneath. And then all of these things get reflected down into the water. Right here, it's really bright because that's clouds and sky. So maybe over here, yeah, got a little sandbank there, but maybe I get a little light in there. So for a value, basic value study, it's good to know, you have much lighter values up in the sky, much darker down here. And we do get some pretty light grass in here though. But it's still not as light as the white on the clouds or the white in the water. So yeah, I think I would make that larger. And then we've got any little details, and the details, I would just treat like little, like this. Treat them like a box. And then throw a little, stuff below it, because it's mostly covered up with grasses and stuff underneath them. They all have little shadows underneath them too. And you can put them wherever you like. So they'll tend to have this neck that really sticks down too. Kind of like that. Kind of do. Sometimes they're even in the water. So if you wanted to spotlight one of them, you could do that. Get a drink. I don't know if I'll put that in there, but maybe, who knows? Kind of in the center. All right. All right, so let's go into some color. Get this, shoot this out a little bit. All right, do another one in color here. I just think doing a couple of these in advance can just really help. Because you've already drawn it a couple of times, you're kind of familiar with where things are. It really helps me. So again, about a quarter of the way up, we have our big cloud, big dominant cloud here.
Robert,
Yes.
question. We do these little sketches, where we draw first, including for the color sketch. Do you sometimes just go ahead and put the color with the brush, without drawing it because you just drew it in the other one, or you always?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. But it helps. Yeah, I draw with the brush quite a bit. Something like that. I got a couple others. And I probably should do all that. Whoops. I'm in drawing mode. I gotta get in painting mode. I'll put those in with the brush and make that tree a little larger this time. So his little friend there. Another one here. And there. Feel free to leave any out if you like. But if you're going to put more in, I wouldn't put another one right there because it, kind of symmetrically balances things. This is a very asymmetrical painting. I got really far over there, didn't I? I think I'm a little more square than this is too. Got that river. All right. Whoops, I hit my light. Not with my head, with my brush. Okay. Let's get some, how about some blue in the sky? It's kind of a grayer blue. Go ahead and use what blue you like. I'm using ultramarine. And I think I had a little dirty stuff on the palette. There was a little bit of magenta in that and a little bit of just a touch of orange in there. Kind of a grayish blue. And maybe something a bit more gray. So the more you add a little bit of orange to that blue, you'll get a gray. But red, yellow, and blue will give you a gray. I'll test it out here. Something like that, yeah. And I've seen a lot of that in here. I'm just looking for color. It's not a really colorful piece. We can add more color to it, but color will give you mood, So it won't have that same sort of drama to it if you get too too colorful with it. Yeah. So as we get down toward the horizon, we just get lighter and lighter. And they're not as heavy down there, lighter. Yeah. And I can hit some lighter grays up into the clouds too. That's about it. Just a couple. Maybe up in here, this is dark, kind of a darker gray. It's about the same value as the clouds, maybe even darker. I'm not even sure I'll put that in. Maybe, yeah. Kind of adds to the drama. We'll come back and tap some darks. Right at the bottoms of some of these are more dramatic ones. And I'm just thinking about the light coming from here and the shadows going over there. Now this one's really, you know, I've only got light and shadow and nothing in between. And oftentimes when I'm doing just a color study or a value study, I don't put a whole lot of different values, because I could come in here and put some of these more subtle values, these little half tones in between. So gosh, today might be a good day to break out the white, huh? I'll tell you what, we'll take it as far as we can transparently. And then if we get into white, we get into white. A white? Oh gosh, that was awful. Okay. Okay. So same principle with the trees. See, a big ball. Let's just do this foreground one first. I usually work away from the background. It doesn't really matter. Got some deeper greens, just your Prussian blue and lemon yellow, I think. I had a lot of water in that one. Make sure you add a little red to that too. Otherwise it'll might look too green. It's a pretty deep shadow. Since I got a little bit on the brush, I'll put a little over there too. And then as it walks out into the light, more lemon yellow in that. The lights are pretty light. That really drank up my dark shadow, so I have to really hit that again. And that will inevitably happen in this painting. Darker shadows. And any dark you really like for, let's say, the, whatever you call that, the trunk. So I start them off like that, kind of end them like more like that. There's even some darker stuff at the base, some of these things, and then we'll edge it out later. But then you look in the background, some of these trees in the background are pretty dark. And I'm gonna go for a blue or a green back here. And just really butt that right up against the tree here. Just cut right into the tree a little bit. So even the lights on a lot of these are just really dark. Some of those shadows on the ground. Even way back here, wow, it's pretty dark. I guess I made my little tree look pretty small, didn't I? Kind of round, if you notice, I keep using this kind of stroke. Round and round. Am I off? I can't see what I'm doing here. Yeah. I tend to keep doing this because I see a lot of this. So if I'm painting something kind of round, I might use paint strokes that are kind of round. Just always kind of going with the flow of what I'm seeing. Basically one color, kind of a blue or a green. And I do see some yellowy greens in there. Occasionally we'll pop those in there. Still, I'm keeping with the cooler yellow. And even on the ground, a lot of lemon in this piece. I wouldn't hit the cad yellow till I get up more up in here. I'm gonna go ahead and hit some of that grass underneath everything. That's lemon yellow with just a little smidge of Prussian in it. And since I have all that green on my brush, why don't I bring that up into the foreground? Let's just really punch it up. A lot of lemon in that. And then down when it gets browner, I'm going to add a little bit of, there's some cad in there. Cad yellow and cad red, very little. Along with, of course, a little bit of that Prussian. Something more like that. It gets a little bit greener. That means I need a little bit more Prussian blue. Green that up a little bit more. I don't want to lose that really light color though. Although I think it's kind of fine. I think I'll hit a little bit kind of browner up in here. So we're making a lot of grays here. So if you just keep mixing red, yellow, and blue together and then adding whatever color. So red, yellow, blue plus blue will give you the blue sky. Red, yellow, blue plus green will give you the green grass. I mean, like I say, there's not very many colors in this piece. We do get a couple little brown things happening along the riverbanks. It's kind of sandy in there. You see a few reflections in the water. Here too.
Bob,
Yes.
do you think this piece has been photoshopped or?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Very
Way
good.
mega in a very stylized way too. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't, it'll really stand out. So I certainly not trying to rip off the guy's style or anything. Whoever's style it is. Let's see. A little bit of that sky in the water would be good too.
Rob, do you actually have color in the water?
Now I do.
Okay, so answer is no, you don't. Okay, but you do.
No,
with the
yeah, I hadn't
shadows.
yet. Yeah. There's some greens back here. Very light. And then some of these treetops. lighter color of green, but still darker than anything in the sky. Using kind of a dry brush. Make sure we get shadows on the ground underneath these trees. Here too. Really gives you a sense of how big that tree is when you have that cow next to it. Wow, that is a big tree.
Sorry, where is the cow?
I know, they're really small. They're like little specks right under this tree, this big tree in the foreground. There's a bunch of little cows.
Oh yeah, I see now. Okay.
You don't even have to put them in, really. I mean, it'll cost you extra if you don't put them in. Sorry. And really, I'm going to slam some of these darks here on the bottom. He's like, really smack them down here. These are going to be your... Now, in Photoshop and in a photograph, you may see darks way back there as dark or darker than things up here in the foreground. I think because we're doing a painting, I'd like to lean off that. This is a habit I'd like to get people out of. Even though it might look really great, it's kind of rare that it would be darker back there than like as dark as some of these darks in the shadow up here. I guess it's possible. Anything's possible, but. All right, Henry.
Now, Rob, when
I'm using this crazy brush of yours, Henry. I think it's a rat hair or something. Yes, what was the question?
No, I was just going to make a comment that when you're using Photoshop, with a slider, you can absolutely increase the contrast, just so it's extreme.
Oh, yeah.
Which would have nothing to do with what you'd see in nature. But of course, they're using it for drama and eliminating, wrinkles if they don't like it or whatever else. So there's a lot of that goes on.
Definitely. So I'm going to try Henry's brush here. Actually, I think my bigger brush might even be better. Let's see. But for little guys over here, I just look at them like this. Especially at this scale, they're just little flicks. I didn't even know they were there when I looked at the photo. I didn't see them till later. This isn't holding enough for me. Maybe these ones are a little bit bigger over here. Good enough. Kind of a nice little painting in itself. Smack the darks. Still got to smack some darks back here. But maybe way down in the base of this, maybe we'll just hit something really dark, just so that really comes forward. I might even hit some little dark stuff here in the foreground too. Little. This tree right here is kind of like a blue-gray tree in the foreground. Wow. All right. And I think we're ready to get going. I know. Huh? We've done all this and now we're ready to get going. Oh, yeah. And look at the yummy. Where's my painting? Oh, there it is. A yummy paper. I don't know if you can see it. Here, I'll get some different light on it. Can you see the thickness or the tooth to the paper? has a kind of a tooth to it. I mean, this is rough.
Is this 300 pounds or 140 pounds?
It's the same 140 pound arches. It's just a little rougher than the cold press. Just a little bit here. Okay. All right. So
Maybe you need to zoom out a tiny bit because we
oh
don't.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys for looking out for me. I can move the camera. I can just move this. I like that better close up to me too. Okay. Let's get down to monkey business here. Okay. So I would think that, you know, if you want to draw yourself a little bit of a guide around the outside, just give yourself a little extra paper. You know, when we're doing these studies, you know, it probably doesn't matter as much, but it's just a good habit to get into. And we have like a cloud over here. I'll draw that a little darker. We've got some of these darker ones over here. You know, with clouds, your drawing doesn't have to be like, you know, 1000% accurate. And oftentimes when I draw this dark, I'll probably lighten this up a little bit. Although I like the look of the drawing in there. So this shape right here and this shape are starting to echo each other. I try to avoid that kind of thing. I like it better down here. So you just develop little habits after a while that really work for you. That has a flat bottom on it. This one over here, this one has sort of a kind of a flat, dark area right there. We have all these little dark areas, little clouds. There's one back there. Right around there. So yeah, when I'm looking up at clouds, I'm thinking in terms of this kind of shape. Okay, so I'm catching some bottom and going around the top and, you know, around the side like this. So it's kind of like it's almost like you took a big ball and chopped it in half. So if you can think in terms of, and I know they're a lot wigglier than that, but if you can think in terms of a cloud being like that and then having a sort of a kind of like a bottom to it, that's what I mean. Okay. Make sure you just indicate those bottoms. Even this big one up here has a lot of bottom to it there. So I'm going to say I can kind of gauge things. I'm going to bring my tree in a little bit further than that one is. And just throw the tree in. I think I'm going to make my foreground tree even a little bit more dominant. Could even make it bigger. Something like that. Why not? Why not live in the fast lane? Okay, and then we have another one over here. Kind of leaning this way possibly. I take my P's and Q's from nature, but I don't necessarily do everything. I like this little bridge right here too. I didn't even see that. Wow. I could just maybe put maybe there's a little canal in here and there's a little bridge over it, sort of way off over there. Much smaller than what I just drew that. It's only about like that big. Some little cows that are only like this big. You know, I will say sometimes it might even be a better idea to draw in your little clowns, your little cows, like let's say so on like that. You know, a lot of watercolorists, remember, watercolor is born out of drawing. It was really known as just what you did as a kind of a color comp thing. So oftentimes the artist would leave their drawing quite visible. So if you throw in your little, I won't do them all right now because we haven't drawn in the rest of it, but just letting you know, I mean, oftentimes I'll just leave them like that. I don't even paint them in. We'll do both. Okay. Maybe the river's only like that thin right there. Kind of goes off into the background there a little bit more. This rough paper really dulls a pencil down quick. So from this side of the river to this side of the river is only like that far. And then you get little switchbacks. And then we have this main tree, which I don't know, we'll bring up to about there. And all I do is I put in the general shape of it, and then I finish the rest of the drawing with a brush. Things over there, maybe some things way off in the background. Treetops, etc. There's a little kind of a bank right there. Shoots in. That's kind of important because it makes it feel like the river's coming in. So this river kind of just flooded the area, which I think that happens a lot in the Netherlands. I don't know how close Bruges, Belgium is to the Netherlands. Wasn't it all the Netherlands once? I don't know. But that's where my grandpa.
Bruges is very close to the Netherlands. It's only about 20, 25 minutes away by car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where my grandpa came from.
Oh, yeah, my mother too. So,
yeah?
Yeah, my mom and my grandmother had a cafe in Bruges after the war.
Wow, cool. So have you been there?
Yes, it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful. So my mother's hometown is Mulderham, which is maybe 10 minutes away. And you can go to dinner in the Netherlands very easily. In fact, we did from Bruges and from Mulderham.
Oh, neat. I'd love to check it out. I've never been. My grandma said, just be careful there. If you get to know the relatives a little bit, they're a little, at least our relatives, she said, are a little snobby.
Yeah, so I have two sets of relatives. My grandmother's family and my grandfather's family. And my grandmother's family were farmers, so they farmed tobacco. And my grandfather's family were the factory owners that they made the cigars. And those two families are like, when we met them and they were together, they were like, oh, good. When all the farmers went home, they were all happy that we just got pictures with the factory owners. It was very funny. And yes, very childish.
Yeah, that's funny. She said, yeah, B. But see, the people told me the same thing about England too, and then I went over there and everybody was so cool to me. So I have to say, I mean, wow, I felt like, you really wouldn't have a problem with me moving in, would you?
Oh, they were.
I'm sure they're like, yeah, maybe we'll call it quits on that one, buddy. No.
Yeah, they were really friendly with me and my niece and my husband. They were lovely. I mean, we thought maybe 4 or 5 people would show up at this kind of like that the local historian put a thing in the newspaper to say, come relatives of my grandmother, come meet her granddaughter. And we thought maybe 5, at the most 10 people would show up. No, there was about 30, 40 people there.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it was very cool, and everybody was really nice to me. I don't know how they are with each other, but to me and my niece and my family, they were very, very welcoming.
Huh. Well, I think my grandma was just kind of talking about my personal family, which their last name is Guedien, which I looked it up. I was looking. I wonder how popular this name is. It is really popular around that area. And then it's not really popular anywhere else. So I thought, okay, that must be them.
How do you spell it, Robert?
I'd have to look it up again. Gadeyn. There might be an A after that. I'm not sure. Guedien. Yeah. And I'm not sure I'm even saying that right. I'm probably butchering it. Stupid American.
And it's pretty cool because the civic records go back quite a ways. So if you're ever into the genealogy end of it, that there's a lot of information about marriages and children and all that kind of stuff online. So
yeah.
It's cool.
So a couple of cows here. I think I'm going to make these ones bigger. They could be bigger. You see, they get really into script, especially at some of these strange angles where the cow's, facing you with his bottom or something. You get some pretty strange angles, and especially also when they overlap each other. But here's a neat little trick. If you take one and put it up against, like I put the one in the river on the last one, or if you take one up here and put it up against, like it's like you get a little silhouette up against the background there. It'll really stand out. That might be one I want to really kind of take a little time with. Or maybe even put one in here, but I don't want to have them all from a side view either. Maybe here, I see one way over there in the dark. He's sort of in a, he's coming up from the river. Had to go get a drink. He's getting a drink. So you see, nothing's overlapping, so I need a couple that are like overlapping. See what that does? Just looks more natural. Maybe a couple right here. Maybe one in the foreground, just. something like that. Yeah, this little bridge there would have a little canal underneath. If we get this little sort of dip in there too, we get a little sort of a sub canal going right here too. Now, for those who have taken my drawing class, you see how I use the lines that take me down the little gully, up the other side and over. I can maybe even here too, down the gully. I'll use those things to tell myself the shape of that thing and all, but I'll also use it. I'll use lines like that to tell me which direction to put my brush strokes. We're ready. Okay. Let's party. Okay. Let's see now. So blue, gray, if you take red, yellow, and blue, just cad red, cad yellow, and you only want like very little of that. And then your ultramarine blue, you'll get a nice blue gray. Take it right up and out of my page, even though I have my sort of little guidelines around the outside, again for framing and such. I'm gonna go ahead and keep that. See how this rough paper is working for me? I want that kind of rough edge there. Where's my other brush? Okay, and then I could leave it really distinct like that, or actually, you know, we have a very hard edge right up in there, so I think I will just leave that a little bit more, whoops, distinct. I must have dipped that into the water. Let me get a little bloom right there. That'll be okay. Okay. Where's that puffy white cloud? You can put it in if you want. I'm gonna leave it out. But you know, some of these clouds have soft edges. So I'm gonna go ahead and just with a wet brush, come into some of these edges like that. Soften up some of the edges. Some of them I want to keep hard, so I'll leave that up to you. This one has a pretty soft edge. I have a lot of blue sky here. I could just have a couple of floaters like that. And just, whoops. Couple of those. And any other one where I wanted to maybe lose an edge, just add a little bit of water along that edge. Again, we have my friendly landscaper outside, so hope it doesn't get too loud. Tell you one thing though, he is on time. That's a good deal. I got really, okay. All right. We have this gray up in here. I want to hit a lot more. Again, the red, yellow, and blue, mixing them together. Mine's coming out pretty brown. Let's see. I want it bluer than that. Go. Much grayer blue.
And Rob, you used what colors to get that gray?
Whoa. Did somebody say something? Because I couldn't even hear you.
Sorry, I asked, what colors did you use to get that dark gray?
Red, yellow, and blue.
Well, I guess I should have known. Okay.
Cad red, cad yellow, ultramarine blue,
Okay.
and then a lot more blue. But not as much blue as I put in here. I'm just going to wisp that edge a little bit with a little bit of water. And it's pretty dark too. I'm going to hit it nice and dark. Yeah, that landscaper was like right next to my ear. I couldn't hear anything. There, I'm gonna get nice dark in there. There we go. And I think the shadows in the clouds are a little bit bluer than this gray, so I'm going to add more blue to it. I think I have all this shadow up in here. Just kind of roll it around in there. We got this flat bottom to this one. Roll it around in there. And then take a wet brush, just water, and yeah, so more of the half tone in there. And then we'll, if we need to hit some of that dark bottom to it, we can hit some dark on the bottom. I see a little bit in there, a little bit in there. A little bit's tucking up in there somewhere. That's good. That should look nice. Oh, wait, there's little half tones up in here. Just little guys. You don't have to hit all those right away. Just like to let you know they're there. I'm gonna go for this one right here. So as you can see, my clouds are not exactly like the clouds that are there, nor did I intend them to be. I just use them as kind of a springboard. Keeping in mind that funny principle I was telling you about earlier of this, just that basic shape. See how I got shadow on the bottom, I got shadow on this side, and then I come back with the wet brush. Oh, I thought that was a wet brush. I want that a little bit bluer. Into those little guys. This one does the same. Oh, shadow in there. Definitely some dark shadow on the bottom. And by the way, my stroke is kind of going like this again. I'm doing a lot of this and just tagging the tops like this, you know? So, and when you put your water on there, do the same thing. I'm just going with the flow of what I'm seeing, that's all. It's not rocket science. We get some really delicate light shadows in the background. I'm going to work them a little bit bluer as they go back in space. Maybe not that blue. Just little guys. And then I can, again, just take water, soften those edges. See, when I just take the water too, it does pick up some of the pigment, and I get these little subtle little midtones, little half tones in there. So they stop looking like lines and they start looking more like tones is the idea. The other technique is to lay down water first. Like let's say I can lay down a little water first up here, or maybe a little bit down there. Now what happens there is that it's just going to take off on you, but sometimes maybe you want that. Maybe you want a little bit of a surprise. Really just depends on you. I'm going to bring that sky, even though it's clouds way back here, there is a little bit of value to it. It's certainly not as white as the highlight up here. So we're going to knock this back on the horizon there a little bit. Kind of blue, gray. There we go. You know, and if we have to knock a couple more clouds in there, we'll do that. Always happy to do that. A couple more in here. Whoops, I got blue. I got brown. Just add a little water. And if it gets out of hand, you know me. I'm the blotter, Mr. Blotter right here. Just blot, blot, blot. Blot a lot. Oops, down there. I'll kind of come back and connect things. I like all these little watercolorish things that are happening in there. Just going to kill some highlights. So they don't compete too much with my little focal points. Let that dry up a little bit, or my trees are, the color for my trees is just going to go right into my sky. And sometimes you might want that. So what I think I'll do is let that set up and well, I'm just looking up at my I'm looking up at the video. It looks much bluer than that, huh? Wow. I can go a little bit grayer in here. Maybe I'll just do that now. I'm going to gray that a little bit more right in here. Just add a little bit more blue to my, gray to my blues. There we go. The nice thing about leaving your clouds a little bit lighter is if you want to go in and make them heavier, it's really easy. Just keep adding more shadow. But if you start off way too heavy, then it's it'll probably be a little bit more difficult. So you know, while this is drying up and while this horizon's drying up, I'm gonna go ahead and lay in a bunch of green up in here in the foreground. And that's with the lemon yellow, a little bit of Prussian, and believe it or not, a little bit of red, just very little. That's what I got there. I'm seeing that color, yeah. A little bit of red in that. I just put it right over my cows. If anybody knows how to make a pretty good cow noise, go ahead, show me your skills.
Wow, that was a good one.
Well, thank you. And I got the one where they really mean it. Ready? Yeah, see?
You've been around some cows.
Yeah, I raised me some cows.
Oh, Rob, is this pure yellow?
I'm using lemon yellow, a little bit of
Prussian blue?
Prussian, and a little bit of red in that.
It looks very yellow. Maybe it's just a light.
It's got color in it. I mean, pure. If I were to put pure lemon yellow in there, looks more like that. So I dulled it down. Might paint it right over my little bridge. Oh, how do you do that? I could even opaque a little bit of that in there. Oh, they were not shy about using some opaque color either, especially Turner. See how simple? I'm using 3 colors. They all kind of blend into each other. Now, while it's wet, you can add some variations to that. You know, like I said, it's a little bit redder up in the foreground. So to my red, yellow, and blue, I might hit a little bit of red in there. Makes things kind of come forward. I use a very horizontal stroke because things are just gradually moving their way back in space. So this is where watercolor does the work for you. It just magically kind of spreads it around, you know, on its own little, in its mysterious watercolor way. I like to hit these little lines in there. Watch, that'll just dissipate into nothing, but I hit these little, they're there. right, that's nice and dry back there, huh? So the pencil just stays there. Now, sometimes when I go over it a few times, it might lighten up too much. So I'll go over it with a brush, but it's already there. It's nice. It's a great watercolor thing to paint too, isn't it? So watercolorish. Okay, so again, I'm taking Cad Red, Prussian blue in this case, and some Cad Yellow to make myself a green. And I'm going to do some of these background greens here. So I'm going to add more blue to it. More blue. So Prussian blue, Cad Red, and Cad Yellow. Add more blue to it. Let me see where we're at back there. I needed more blue than that. And I'm going to work on those. I'm going to start them off a little bit lighter because I want them to feel further away. I know those are really dark, and we could always come back and pop them darker, but I want to get some more distance into this thing. That's a really common thing in photography, is that it'll read the background darks as dark as the foreground darks. And then you get out there with your own eyes and you're going, wait a second. You gotta make sure you're muted. That's pretty dark still. I know these ones are a little more up in the foreground now. A little opening here. Little tree trunks here and there. So here I lay down my grass first. Here I'll put in my grass last. It doesn't matter. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's going, no, it really matters. So again, I'm using kind of a dryer brush and treating this tree like a ball. On the shadow side. And then I'm going to work my my colors a little bit lighter. On this light side, there's a little bit of light on that tree. Some little highlights can help me out. If it's too round, I'm gonna do that. And then if it gets too round, I can just give it a couple little outside edges. Little contours. Maybe something nice and dark for that trunk. Now that I have the color on my brush, might as well hit a bunch of trunks in there. You never know, you might see a whole bunch back here too. Keep them really small. Back there. These ones could go darker. This has a nice dark at the base.
So, Rob, I have a technical question here. So, usually things that are further away would tend to be less dark, and what's closer to you is lighter. Is that?
No, your darks will be darker, and you'll get more contrast in the foreground. So your darks and you'll have more contrast. So your darks will be darker, your lights will be lighter, and you'll have more color. You're more saturation in the foreground.
So let's say you have a tree, the one you just did, or the one you're doing right now, and that's darker than the two trees that are closer to us on the left, the ones you have not done yet?
Yeah.
I see.
I'll not. Now, what some artists will do is they'll try to create a focal point. If they really want your eye to go there, then they'll create more focus in there. So now that's another way. So there's the way nature does it, and then there's the way we do it for the sake of, what a human wants. And so, but I'll put more contrast in this one up here. Yeah. So I'm just leaving these lights a little lighter at the top here. Way back here on the, it's not on the horizon, but it's way back there. I'm just hitting some lighter blue-gray. And they get some pretty green grass back there too. Here's one of my things I like to do. Even if it's not there, I'll take way in the background here, some very light blue. That should be lighter, like that. Very light blue, something way back here. And a little bit lighter. There we go. Way back here. There could be stuff back there, way back. And I'll just hit that back there. Making it feel like, there's things 10, 20 miles away back there. And it adds another little layer to it. Now, I want to hit some of that grass way back there. And so I'm going to take the same colors I used here, but a little bit grayer, a little bit blue or gray. This is one of those situations where I'm pretty sure they photoshopped this a little more green than it is. And I'm probably going to come back and smack some yellows up here in the foreground, really. Really emphasize them. That's the other thing about watercolor, it'll desaturate your colors. So even if I'm putting these on a little bit more saturated here, they'll end up less saturated because the white absorbs. And then notice on this rough paper, might absorb even a little bit more. Stuff way back here too. the sky color again into the water. Take that sort of blue-gray. And remember, this right here isn't reflecting this up here. This is reflecting stuff around here, because your eyes are going boom, and then reflecting. So it's mostly this. This is why it's so bright. The value of the sky and the water is so bright, because it's not reflecting stuff up here. It's reflecting stuff. You have to think of like, you're looking at a mirror and it's reflecting the stuff approximately there. So I'm going to, let's see what color I have there. It's not bad. I'm just gonna throw that in everywhere. That's pretty dark. Behind the trees. Doesn't matter if you paint it right over your little tree reflections in there, because they're darker. So I'm just going to take this and paint it over the whole river. Oh, there's a little piece of blue in there. And so it's a little dark. No problem. I got my trusty rag. I just take out little touches of it here and there. And then remember, everything that's here is going to be reflected down here. And I see we do have some sand in there and things like that too. So I think maybe I'll just kind of avoid those areas for now. And let's just take a little bit of that tree color down into the water. I don't want to put it over my cow there. Oh. I don't know if you know much about cows, but they're pretty cool. They're smarter than you think, too. A lot of animals are way smarter than people think. The cows are friendly. I mean, some cows are, some aren't. But oftentimes really friendly. They'll come right up to you. Hey, how you doing?
I read somewhere that there was a couple of cows that escaped the cattle yards where they slaughter them, and they were just running free, and they couldn't catch them. Smart cows.
Hey, how about that? That's smart. So little reflections. I can bring some of this tree down into the water there, this tree down into the water there. Again, if you could lay down some water first, that's what I'm doing here. Or you could do it like I did there and put down the color first and then add your water along the edges. It doesn't really matter. On these three, or these ones in there, just yeah, but you know, it's funny. I have the little watercolors of my grandpa painting things like this, sort of like this. Most of his were done in France, though, I think. Lots of ships and things. Yeah, I have one. Yeah. I have them right on my walls here, too. I have one with the old wagons that they carried all the hay in, the big gigantic haystacks in the wooden wagon. Here, I'll show you. I can show you because it's right here. This is old. Can you see that? It's a pencil drawing. There's a pencil drawing of like an old, that's like from 1903 or something.
Oh,
Oh.
And then here's another one of some people by the wagon. And there's the horse. I'll try to get some light on it. And it's in pencil. There we go.
yeah.
Yeah. Rob, who drew this? Who is this?
My grandpa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did all kinds of little, I have tons of these sketches all over my bedroom, just tons of them. Pretty cool. I look at them and I think, gosh, because my grandma said, you're like his reincarnation or something. I mean, she goes, you don't even know how many mannerisms you have. It's weird how genetics work, but you just take on the mannerisms or whatever of your gene pool, I guess.
And Rob, do you think they got saved because they were easier to save, the sketches, than paintings, or?
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, he burned. For those of you that haven't heard this story, my grandpa burned a bunch of his paintings right before he died. And this was in 1930. This is my mom. So it must have been in 37 when he died. So I obviously never knew him.
Why did he burn them?
He just went, he had cancer. Well, he inhaled mustard gas in the World War I. And so he had, he had cancer. And he went kind of delirious. And so my grandma came home one day and he had all his paintings out in the yard burning them. He said, no, I got all these ideas for new paintings. So she has a few that would, so there's not very many, but I guess there was a lot. So again, I lay them in like little balls. And then maybe over the lights. Now this one's a little grayer, this one's a little greener. I think I'm gonna really stress the yellowy green in this big tree. Certainly could do it the other way if I wanted to. Here's the thing about yellow. I'm just putting on pure lemon yellow. Kind of nuts. Okay. Now the thing is I can keep adding blues to it like this and it'll green. I can add little reds to it. Like I could get, here's something in the red family. And just keep playing with that. And it'll green. I'll just have little flicks of yellow in it maybe. I can play with that any way I want. But it started off like a little ball. Now, we were talking about it not having a lot of contrast, because I can just keep adding the shadow. And I'm just using Prussian blue and cad red. And I could just keep adding shadow in a dry brush manner like that. There we go. And it gets pretty darn dark in the bottom. You know what? Goats are really smart. I used to have my own goat. I mean, I had to take care of all the other animals. And then my mom said, this one's yours. And it's yours to raise on your own. So I took care of him. And I named him Billy. Big imagination in that one, huh? And
It's an original.
yeah, I know. But you know, I used to have this little stump, a little wood stump, and he would get up there to kind of like talk to me, you know, he'd go, meh, and talk to me. And so I'd feed him stuff up there. And then occasionally he would like do like a little spin. So I started off by getting my little niblet or whatever it is, because they'll eat anything. They'll eat like literally anything. I'd give him something and then he'd spin for me. And so I got him spinning. I got him going up on his two hind legs and spinning all around and all kinds of things. These animals are just fantastic. But yeah, anyway. Oops. Hey, Alice, I'm going to mute you. There you go. Gotcha. Thank you. So I came back and carved back into the wall there a little bit, just to give it a little bit of, with some background color. Just giving the ball of this tree a little bit of contour. And you can play with those. This tree right here is kind of a blue-gray. I like the comparison. I'm putting that over the whole thing, and then I'll just stamp the top of those. It gets pretty darn dark, too, at the, what do you call it, the trunk. This one over here is a pretty good dark trunk, and I love the little branches that come off it too. Hit a couple of those. And see, they'll all feel like they're floating until you hit a little shadow down below. It's important to hit that shadow. Typically, I go with something bluer. And here's the thing, it almost doesn't matter what color blue, as long as you get the value right, but you can see, because it's transparent, you can see the color right through it, so you don't really need to really mix up some great blue, because you won't really see it, because it's got the background colors coming through it. And this one too. A little something down there. See, I really lost some of the contrast in my little cows there. You see how that kind of grounds everything? There's definitely a little shadow, since I have it on my brush, a little shadow down below this little bridge there. Maybe we'll smack some white on that. Some shadows under these trees. That's a little dark. Remember, the light's coming from this direction, so the shadows are mostly going to be on the right side of the tree, right? Over on this side.
Oops, I put my shadow going to the left side and then I stuck a cow on the right side.
Oh no. You wouldn't believe it. Just add a little water. The watercolor will figure it out for you. That's when I just do add a little water, and It just looks like a big organic something. You can kind of use your rag too and schmoop them out of there. Because I don't know what the word schmoop means. I just heard it on an episode of Seinfeld once. Did you guys ever see Schmoopy? You're Schmoopy. No, you're Schmoopy. Oh God, it's awful. You schmoop that over and you smack this value and you pop that over there. And these values, oh, I forgot to hit a little color on these trees. I just let it go right into the shadow. And if it's not light enough, I'll just hit it with my rag, like that. Little bright spots. So now I can see maybe some of these things in the background could be a little darker, but it's perfectly fine to lay it in like this first and then come back later and hit them a little bit darker. I could hit that. Just treating this this tree right here is, it has a light side on the left side and a little bit of a shadow on the right. Things like that. Little shadows. Oftentimes at the base of a tree line or like down here in the base of things like this, you'll get dark things happening. So they just kind of all run into each other. Something dark happening here along the edge. Maybe there's a shadow. So even these trees right here, it's just one big flat shape. So I might, to the right, hit a little shadow. To the right, to the right. And then I just kind of dry brush it in there. Hit something dark at the bottoms. Maybe even a little sliver of a shadow down on the ground. I mean, back there, there'll just be little lines almost. Yeah, like in the photo, you can see these darks around this tree are much darker. I think it does have another tree around it there. I'm just going to throw something up into the sky. Feel a little bit of a light side on that. Excuse me. Go turn on the air conditioner real quick. Okay. Just assessing things here. Whoops. And I'm looking at my little guy here too. I'll let me look at them in the thing. Pretty close to the same colors. So the details. So now that things are a little bit more dried up, come back and hit. I'm gonna come back and hit a few little values in my little cows there. This little cow right here, I have a little bit of a reflection on the ground. A little bit of a reflection. And some rocks and stuff in there. Any kind of grasses you want to put up in the foreground, you could do that. Red, yellow, and blue will give you a brown. And I'll just kind of pull up with those strokes. As they get way back here, the grasses get much smaller. So I can add a little bit of texture into the foreground. I'm getting probably more texture because I'm using this rough paper. Yeah, so as you get back here, you don't see individual strands. I mean, you really don't see them anyway, but you won't see as much brush work. You'll just see sort of lines of that kind of thing. Just these little cows need little shadows under them. That almost looks like a cow. That's a crazy shadow. It's supposed to be a shadow under a bridge. So then, how do I get that bridge to look like a bridge? There's a question. I'm going to use white, and I just, honestly, I just use a red out of the tube like this. My old secrets. When I want a pure white, I just dig it right out of the tube. I paint that right on there. Anywhere else you see you might need a highlight, you can come back and hit some in the water if you like. Little shimmers like this. It goes. I love those. Like where there's a little breeze that hits it, sometimes you get a little shine on it like that. Use a little white. Or sometimes maybe this tree doesn't pop enough, so I'll pull a little right up next to the tree trunk like that, see? Hardly even know it was done either. You could do it here too, even though that's not water. I could glaze that again with a little bit of yellow. In the clouds. We could hit we could just leave them like they are. Or, and I'm hitting this really stiff and sticky, like right out of the, see, right out of the tube. And there's hardly any water on my brush. And I just maybe hit a little bit out there. And I take a little bit out into the blue too. See, right out into the blue, not everywhere. I hit it like that and right up into here. I'm like, what are you doing, Rob? Then I do the water trick. So just take water on the brush. You kind of, see, you do all that stuff, the little floaty stuff. And it's still not done because it hasn't dried. When it, I mean, it does something totally different as it dries. So it's like watching a, watching the watercolor show. If I really wanted it to feel like it was just hitting that rim, the rim of the clouds like that, I could bring that cloud shadow up quite a bit higher. See what we got up there. That's kind of green. I could bring that way up here. There's even some yellow in those clouds. Wow. Not only in the lights, but there's a little bit in where it shoots through the cloud. You get a little bit in the shadows. So that's fun. I'll throw a little bit of yellow in there. And I mean very little. Doesn't take much at all. Just a little bit in there. Maybe a touch. I'm gonna go for the cad yellow, believe it or not, and the in the lights. Why? Because it's a warmer. It's warmer, man. That's a lot. And it's using so little yellow, I can't tell you how little I'm using. And all I'm trying to do is just hint a little bit of warmth into the lights here. Very little. And I know in the photo they're really cold looking clouds. I personally think that's a camera thing. Just glazing a little bit of yellow. And if you don't get enough yellow on the first try, hey, just try again. I mean, but if you get way too much on there on the first try, you're just going to be fighting it. So it's better to build up. Could even get a little more dramatic with the bottom of this cloud here. Another one back there. some color into those as well. Maybe a little bit of violet here into there. That's a little too red. And the little bits of red here and there are okay in clouds, but too much and it starts looking like a sunset. Look at all the stuff we have back here. Just all, it's very horizontal way back here. You could just keep that. Nondescript. I want to try a little trick. I have a little white on this brush. I'm going to hit a little bit of that in there. In the background. Interesting. I'm just trying to make it feel like there's something back there. I mean, doesn't have to be a big deal. Just remember, as you get toward that horizon, they get very horizontal. You're catching the sides of clouds. And I think I'm going to take a little bit more of that white. And just take it over. Take a dry brush, I'm just dragging it over these. Pop some highlights. Really smack a highlight if you like. Totally up to you. Sometimes I don't put any in there. These are fun too, these little drifters. Watch, I'll hit it like that. And then take a little water around the outside. And they're just fantastic. Maybe I want a little bit more gray in here. It's kind of green. These get kind of purple. I got kind of red on me. Have a little more violet in there. And I just keep playing with but the cool thing about it is that even when it's done, it's not necessarily done because you always have that white. See, I can take that white into here like that and just you can always glaze a little yellow into that white. I will say that it's better to use as little white as, I think people get so carried away with the white, you lose all your transparency. But I'm like this sort of tree right here has got a lot of chalkiness to it. That might be a place where I might hit something like that on it. I'll try a little bit up in here. And then maybe some down here into the shadows.
Rob,
Yeah?
it could be the white lettering going through that tree that makes it look so chalky. The deposit photo.
Oh, is it? I can't even see it. Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah. That's what
I'm looking at it really small. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you're right. Well, my point in this is, watch, I can build up some little lights back here too. Just like that on the light side. Let them dry, because see how you can barely even see them after they're dry. And then quickly glaze them. Just one stroke. Don't use any more than one. Well, you'll see what happens when you do. Go ahead and do it. And I'll laugh. No, but it just hit a little glaze over there, see? That's it. Wouldn't hit any more than that. Get this one a little bit. Put that in there too. Anyway, houses and fields is such a great thing to paint. People have been doing it forever. And now, sign the give this thing a stamp of approval here. Ah, darn it. I messed up again. Wasn't wet enough. Maybe I like it that way though, so it's maybe they've been a little too competitive with everything else around it. Okay. I got awfully dark down there, didn't I? Now what I'm doing is I just noticed I was pretty dark down there. I just scrubbed it out a little bit with my brush. Just lifted up a little bit of that stuff. Because I don't want it really light. I just want it a little bit lighter. And then maybe glaze something in there. A little bit more color. Fun. Okay. Let's see here now. I see we already have a few, huh? You've been sending me stuff? All right. Let's get into it here. Let me get a drink of water. Well, I just realized something. Oops. I didn't put some shadows down on the ground here. Those. So my trees don't feel like they're floating. Oh, it never ends. Okay. There it is. All right, Charlene. Cool. Alexi, see how your background really recedes? And so the less red you have in the background, the more it'll recede. So now, it's got nice colors. Sort of a really nice palette here. This is just what I would call a muted palette. And that's kind of what we're doing. So typically, I know you could have red trees in the background. Certainly. What'll strengthen up your atmosphere in this is if you hit a little more saturation up in your foreground. So a little more yellow, a little more red, some of these oranges, what up in here. Just hit those a little harder.
Okay.
A little, not necessarily darker, but I mean more saturated, and you'll get more depth out of it.
Okay. Yeah, I thought the foreground might be a little weak.
Yeah, I never really hit any of mine, did I?
But you know what? I don't want to keep going with it, It might get too overdone.
So here's what I mean, everybody. If you can see mine, I don't know if you can see mine up there, but to watch when they really hit a serious yellow up in the foreground. I don't know if you see that.
Oh yeah.
See what that does? It kind of brings you up in the foreground.
Right.
See how I didn't even change anything. Everybody right over my signature. Didn't even change anything. As far as the value goes, but as far as the color goes, really pulls you much more up into the foreground.
Okay, I'll put some more of that in the foreground.
Yeah. A little bit of that. And then if you want to pull in some of those reflections from the trees, let me see here. So like this tree right here, some of this reflection on the ground. Maybe blue with,
Okay.
That can do something as well. Maybe just a little bit of this. It's up to you.
Oh,
Might make it feel a little more waterish.
okay. I thought maybe if I did that, it would make the creek go away.
You probably have enough. Maybe just this one here.
Yeah.
That's pretty far away. This one over here. So
Okay.
maybe just a little bit in here can kind of do something. Okay.
Thank you.
Nice work. Got a feel to it. Charlotte. Okay. Went much more colorful.
I know. Can't get away from that color.
That's okay. Oh, yeah. Now, what you did in this cloud up here is what I love. I love to see this kind of thing right here, where it adds up to a gray, but you can see all the colors you use to make that gray. So you got the blue, the yellow, the red. You see it here too. All of these, and they all add up to gray. So did you mix on the page?
I mixed on the page, and I always feel that
What's in the ground is in the sky.
Yeah, especially in the shadows. In the shadows, the light will come up and influence those. Probably, probably not as intense. Although I've seen some shadows in clouds where they were over Arizona or somewhere in the Painted Desert or something. There's just these red shadows in the clouds. It's amazing. But
Got a little too colorful, but I do color.
Yeah, I can see that. Color is your friend.
For some reason, my speaker isn't even working very well.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
Barely, right? But that's okay. I'll look at the recording.
And then I don't know how you feel about maybe something darker in here. You don't have to, certainly don't, but.
Oh yeah, maybe, because it might pick up the background. It is pretty dark. It just got so light.
The only reason I was thinking is maybe because we want to get a little bit of depth. And so something darker in the foreground will give you more depth. And you already have these two darks right here.
Cows.
Yeah. So that's a little bit darker than this, I think. And then so maybe a little bit darker over here. This is what I'm thinking.
I kind of lost the water. I love your water, the way you didn't lose the water when you were painting.
Yeah,
Suggest to Charlotte that she turns up the volume on her computer.
Oh yeah. If you turn
I can't because I'll lose the screen.
Your volume?
Oh, your what? You'll lose the screen if you.
I'm on a little tiny computer, so I'll lose the screen.
Oh, I see. That's about it. Nice, lovely cloud. Your clouds are amazing. The cows are cool. That's about all I can think of.
It was fun.
Beautiful.
As always.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice work.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Cows. So Ethel, I got.
Sorry, I
there
said
it is.
twice because I forgot to attach.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, it's a cow.
A little humor there, huh?
Love it.
I love it.
That is so cute.
Just wanted to say hello.
Ready for the day.
Had to photobomb the picture.
Yeah, what's going on over there? Yeah. That's funny. Where did you get that? Did you just find a little photo somewhere? Did you make that up?
Oh yeah, I just did images of cows. I Googled it.
Pretty darn good picture of a cow.
Yeah, there were some cute ones in there.
Have you ever fed anything to a cow? And then you'll notice they have really long tongues.
Oh, I know.
They're like, you're like, whoa, I didn't know that thing was there.
Never been around a cow.
Oh, they're fun. Okay. Nice work. I like your cool sky. And then maybe your trees are a little bit round.
Yeah, they all kind of, you said lollipops, and that's what I did.
I mean, I throw them in like that, but then I end up kind of going into them a little bit. And then what you can do is maybe just, all it is edges. So you can take a little bit of, a little bit of this in here.
Yeah.
That way, maybe a little bit of this over that way.
Yeah.
It's just little nips here and there, like you did, like this right here. Like this area right here.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Just chip into it a little bit here and there, and you'll see. Now here you can't chip into it unless you use white, but you can always add a little bit. You can take a little bit on the outside here and just add a little bit there, and you get a little more. So yeah. Cows are great.
Thank you.
Now see, you got the 1, 2, 3. I could see possibly add, like you did these two.
Yeah,
Maybe add one,
put another one, yeah,
kind of like, in the background, going the other direction or something,
Yeah.
just a little overlap.
that's a
I
good.
like your water. Water looks great. Love that water.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to, I don't know, it's reading better than it does in real life here.
Yeah. So sometimes I might throw down a little bit of something into the water. I know you did.
Yeah,
I might go just a
a
little
little more,
little bit darker.
okay, yeah, that might make it look more like water, yeah,
Yeah, but don't cover up that nice blue right there. That's good.
no, that was a good part.
And then the other good part that's more deceiving is this light you have in the background here. That's really making these things jump out. If anything, I could even see possibly a little in there. I feel like
Ah, that's a good idea.
that's something to think about. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And thanks for the cow humor there.
Had to do it, couldn't help myself.
I know, they just look at you like,
Yes.
I know. Hey man, I'm kind of bored over here. Do you need a friend? Let's hang out. All right, Katie.
Hi there.
Hello, nice work. Okay. I like these colors you have in the cloud. See, you just have color.
Yeah, but shape needs work.
Yeah, but don't just run over the fact that, give yourself it's something to recognize about it. Everyone's got something. And some people have the draftsmanship thing and they just don't have the color. And let me tell you, I ran into them many times over the years. And color's really tough for them. I didn't. If it's not hard for you, consider it a gift.
Thank you.
'Cause it's really
I
hard
will.
for people. So we have to work on, colorists have to work on the value and edge and shape.
Yeah.
This has got some pretty darn nice shades to it. I can see possibly coming back into some of these, like the tops of your clouds,
Uh-huh.
maybe a little more highlight. Let's see.
Highlight the top of the cloud.
Wasn't it catching some? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was.
Just a little bit. Just so it feels like the light's coming from this direction.
Okay.
And just here and there, I can see just little bits. This is pretty darn good. Oh, I love these colors. There's your red, yellow, and blue right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can see little highlights. That might be a fun way to play with white, if you like.
Okay.
Okay, and then with the, now a lot of your trees went kind of flat on you. So if
Yeah.
you want to bring them back, what I would do is just it's a little big here. So just hit a little bit of light on the top, and what you could do that with, you could do it with white, not real bright though. Just kind of play with the white on the top until you get this sort of, irregular kind of tree shape in there,
Yeah.
and then let me show you. So come back with white, and you can almost do this with yellow too, because the yellow is semi-opaque. But hit a little light over there.
I kept using the yellow, but you can see it didn't get very bright.
Right. So sometimes if you kick it up with a little white, let that dry and then glaze it with the yellow, it'll
Okay.
definitely. Like, see this tree right here? I like this tree right here.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a nice little sense of, that's a very dark tree, but it's got a good sense of light and shadow on it. Also, this tree right here is working just fine,
Oh, good.
I think. So then I would
Thanks.
just get a little bit more light on a few of these,
Okay.
just a little bit. You get a little bit on the top and on the sides.
Okay.
And on the top and on the I'm sorry, this side, the left side.
Okay.
Yeah. That's when, after that, then I glaze it down with a little bit of yellow. So other
That's a
than
great
that,
idea.
shadows are a little dark, and your cows are, where are your cows?
I
No
painted over my
cows in my painting.
cows. I didn't like my cows.
I think your water looks great.
Okay.
No water problem. Now, if you liked it, if you've noticed, I've been saying this to some people. See how the light comes in the back of this tree right here?
Yeah.
I can see a little bit maybe down here.
Okay.
Try it.
I added a little gouache, but I got scared.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I
the
don't know
gouache
what to
will come
do.
right off. Unlike the watercolor, if you have the gouache will come off if you don't put like loads of it in there. It will.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. And then
Thank
just
you.
those down. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And Francis, let's see. All right. Let me get the drawing off there. And so you got your most saturated colors in the foreground, your least in the background. Now, sometimes, let's say, for instance, maybe this tree line's a little bit on the dark side. So what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of like blue and white, and I'll glaze it back there. See how that feels a little more atmospheric?
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a little too much what I just did. But if you glaze it a little bit back there, it'll kick that back in perspective. So it doesn't, so the dark up here isn't as dark as this.
Right.
It's an easy fix. Sometimes I actually do that on purpose, just so I can, because you can get some beautiful colors of atmosphere back there. I use a little blue and white, sometimes a little violet way back there. Then I could see possibly a little bit of shadow, a little bit darker shadow up in here. Even more. Keeping it nice and green, yellows and greens and such, maybe even oranges. I see you got a little orange in there, yeah. On this side, maybe I have this crazy green up here. So a little like computer green, but so now that kicks us more up into the foreground. By the way, this shadow on the ground really works. I can see the shadows right under your cows being a little darker because the cows aren't very far away from the shadow. So you're gonna probably have a darker shadow, I would think. And I can just see just a little slip of something down there. Okay, you need to see something. A little something down there. Remember, the rule is if it feels like it's floating and you get a little shadow, there's a little shadow underneath your bridge. I think there was a little bit of a shadow under there. Sometimes that shadow will go all the way onto the water too. If we even saw any water. This needs a big, giant windmill right here. All right, and your clouds are great. Now, what I would see how it's pretty much like this and this.
Right.
So that usually means you need a little more halftone right in between here, right in this area. As it turns into shadow, a little more halftone. That's too dark. I don't know if I even have anything.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little bit something, a little transition color from your light to your shadow, and that'll get them to roll around, etc. into shadow.
Okay.
I'm having the same problem in mine too. So, all right, I like that you glazed a little yellow into there. Nice. Yeah, you just want little touches like this. Little touches of yellow in there. Little hints. Okay. All right, and then we talked about reflections. Maybe a little more reflection on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The water looks real waterish. Just a little bit makes it feel. And these are a little dark. But, okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne. All right, really dramatic. So you got the form idea down. Yes.
Maybe a little overdone on the clouds.
But you know what? Here's the great thing about it. If you take, now that you have your nice little forms going on there, occasionally take a little bit of white into them. You know, a little bit of that here and there, and it'll break up anything. Because you see, now, remember when I was saying to the right and at the bottom? So you are very, very much literal on that. And that's fine. I actually start mine off, man, when I paint like thousands of trees, like up in the mountains, you got all these pine trees or whatever, I'll do them all. I'll just say boom, 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 boom. And then I come back and break them up with something.
Okay.
So just a few of these little whites will kind of scatter that. You could even, you know, get a little something on the bottom. You know, now's when you get intuitive with it, because this is like really literal. Now we could just say, hey, no problem. Okay, no, it's fun time. I'll take a little bit of this and come down there. Kind of scatter up that corner. Maybe even throw a little white in here and there. Just the white is a lot of fun to play with.
Okay.
All right. This I like your little situation, your little cow situation. That's a nice little area. Nicely drawn. I love the overlapping. That's great. I think that these two being close to each other and this one being a little farther away works pretty darn nice. Yeah, plenty of contrast. See, this is what I talked about, everybody. So she has plenty of contrast in the reflection of the water, and that gets it to feel like water. Now, if I need something, I'll hit a little something like that in there once in a while, just to give a little sheen.
Okay.
Your shadow goes right into your water. I might lighten it up as it goes. You know, I might keep it dark underneath the tree, a little lighter here, and then because this right here is a reflection of the it's a reflection of this underside of the tree. That's why it's dark. This right here is a beautiful reflection. That's a beautiful one. You know, sometimes it'll get a little heavy, sometimes it'll get a little light. That one's got a nice balance to it. And it's got that zigzaggy thing going for it. So, good. You see how now a lot of these trees are the same color right here? Why is it doing that? Okay. A lot of these trees are the same color. I might vary them by adding a little more yellow to one, a little bit more red to another.
Okay.
Just a little more variation in them, that's all.
Okay.
That's about it. I like this one right here. Wow, I didn't see the little cow laying down. That's great. I forgot.
My husband thought it looked like a cat.
Meow. That's a big cat compared to those cows. It's one of those big old giant sheepdogs. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi.
Hi. I love these. Look how intuitive your clouds are. Really nice.
Okay.
They really kind of move around. Yep. And that's one of those places where I might hit a little light on the top if you'd like.
Okay.
It's a fun area to play with a little white. Did you hit a little white in there or no? Yeah, you did.
No, I just left it blank.
Yeah. Well, if you don't want to, I mean, some people don't like to. That's fine. Let's see. But to the tops, I might hit a little.
Okay.
And right, we talked about this too, right? Just, I mean, I talked about it with other people. It's a little contained, the shape. So that's when I'll come in and out. You know, I'll move a little bit of it out of the contour, a little bit of it in.
Okay.
Like I say, I'll lay them in like lollipops, and then I draw back into them with my brush. I recontour it with my brush. I only want that lollipop shape just to show me how big it is. But you know, it wouldn't be a problem to just sketch them in. And that might help people with the contained problem, the containment issue.
Yeah.
Let's see. And I would hit a little shadow on the ground under your guys here.
Okay.
Just to get them to feel like they're
On the
not
ground.
floating.
Yeah.
Doesn't take very much either. Okay. Then if you like, what I might do with the background here is take a little white and maybe a little bit of blue so we can get those to feel a little further away.
Okay.
And if they get a little dark, and if they get a little too light, then I might put a little bit of gray in it.
Okay.
Because I'm looking for that color to be less saturated back there. And maybe a little lighter in value. Just to get the, this is the kind of landscape painting too. When you're painting real great distances, the landscapes need to be you really need to push that atmosphere as it goes way back in space and way back there, you know.
It's interesting though that the value of the ones that are farther back are darker. I mean, that's clear if that's, I mean, it's a visual trick to make it lighter to.
Yeah, it is. It's a trick.
Okay.
Because the photograph was quite dark back there, and I think that the photographer might have adjusted that.
Yeah.
It also could be that, you know, sometimes on the really dramatic days like that, it could be. So,
Okay.
and if that's the case, then I would desaturate the color anyway. I'm going to keep it at maybe less saturation. So, some gray to that green.
Okay.
That's about it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Toby. Oops, stop moving on me. Okay. All right. Now yours looks more like we're down. Your perspective is a little bit, because you pulled the trees up higher. It looks like the perspective of the viewer is down a little bit lower, or shall I say the artist. It doesn't matter, it looks great. Nice touch too, real intuitive touch. You're not overworking anything. You're, yeah, real intuitive touch. I can see the shadow on the grounds being down here a little bit, just a touch darker. Just to sit them down a little bit more.
Yeah, they're kind of floating, aren't
And
they?
that's really kind of up to you, because it does work. Just a little bit of something down there.
I've done it over that area twice, but I think my paint is just too watery. I'll keep working on that.
A little more water, yeah. And I can see these being just hit a little bit harder. You got the color in there. So I'll hit those the dark of the tree being reflected in there a little bit harder. That would be like underneath the tree. Like here, being reflected into here. I would just hit those darks a little bit harder in the water. You got a lot of, I like this distance back here. This really worked.
Yeah, thanks for that tip. I really, that's a fun thing to do.
Doesn't it add like even more distance?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So great.
You'll see artists use that so often. Sometimes it'll just be a little line and it adds 20 more miles to their landscape.
Yeah. Can you do multiple lines of it? You know,
oh, sure. You can take it back here a little even further and even further and further. Sure.
Yeah.
I would.
I always wondered how they did that. Thanks for letting us know.
I know, huh? It's really cool, quite easy, but it's a really great little trick. Let's see what else. I don't have anything to say about your clouds. I really love them. They're really intuitive. I guess if anything, maybe a little yellow in the lights, and I mean extreme, like 1%, like a 0.5%.
Okay. I tried to put just the tiniest bit in, but it probably you really can't even fit. Yeah.
I probably can't say it too well then. Just a little bit. And then now I've seen trees but this sort of round, but if you wanted to, you could maybe play with that contour a little more. I like this contour right here. This one.
Okay.
A little bit more of that jazz going on around here and there. I think we got it. I mean, these small things. If you wanted to get a little bit of shadow on the ground too, underneath these, underneath the cows.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of something can kind of help ground them a little bit. Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice looking piece.
Thank you.
All right. And we've got Barbara. Oh, nice clouds. So you can really feel the bottom of your cloud. You got the top of the cloud and the bottom of that cloud, very distinct. And you probably know I'm going to say something about the fact that we've got blue, kind of red, and yellow. So you see, you're just moving that all around. You're getting a lot of variation, and that moves the eye around. It's just nice.
Thanks.
I think these look a little. I think maybe I was wrong telling you guys to lay these things in like lollipops. Maybe we should draw them out. That's my problem, not yours. But I would just re-contour this a little bit. Just add a little bit here.
Okay. Should I make it big? Should I make it taller?
You certainly could, yeah. You'll have to get more opaque. But you could certainly take some white if you wanted to. It's it'll take.
Yeah, that's what I did on my first on my thumbnail sketch, and I think it was better when it's
okay.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
See, now here you've got, this is a pretty natural looking tree right here. This is a pretty natural looking one. And then this one's a little round. So you know how to do it. Obviously it shows. So then, just give this one a look. I'd say just work with this one right here and this one right here. You know what I really think works though? You see how this tree right here casts a little bit of a shadow over this tree.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. In fact, I want to use that move on mine. I'm looking at mine and I'm like, oh, I could do that. Yeah, I really like that. That's one of those moves that really looks great. And it would happen too. I mean, so yeah. Got that little cast shadow right over there. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I can see a little bit of shadow underneath your cows.
Oh, right, I feel it a little more, yeah. Mhm.
And you're looking pretty good there.
What about in back of the trees in the very background? Should I put another background above that?
Oh, make sure you put some shadow underneath these trees too, by the way, right here.
Okay.
This one looks great. This one,
Uh-huh.
that's your model tree. Obviously, this one looks great too up in the foreground, but for those, I would use that kind of as the model and just hit a couple more of those. And you're saying to hit more blue back here in the atmosphere?
Uh-huh, yes.
Yeah. Blue and white, just take blue and white, like a blue-gray.
Okay.
So anyway, like red, yellow, blue, totally emphasize the blue, and then add white to it, and put it way back here. Maybe I'll do a little, like a really light blue one. Just like something way back there.
You're right, yeah, and back is
Isn't that weird what that does?
Uh-huh, yes. Oh, that would be so much better, yeah.
Sneak it in there. You wouldn't believe it. It's amazing.
Okay.
I mean, that's a little bright, but I mean,
Right.
that's the idea.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm thinking a little bit more contrast in your reflections. Not as much as I'm putting on there, but just a little bit more, like this one right here. Just a touch more. A touch more. Yeah.
What, a blue-gray?
I would just use the colors that you're using up here in
Oh, okay.
in
The green, yeah, that's what I did, actually. Okay.
Yeah. I would put those, kind of dry brush them in if you like. I mean, it's up, the technique you like is up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that sky.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Good lesson. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. We got Jane. Okay. Shadows. Make sure we get some shadows under the animal. This is nice work. I love the red clouds. It's great. Now, when we put red in the clouds, it usually signifies something later in the day. On a sort of realistic note, on a spiritual note, it looks beautiful. It just moves me. I love it. You've really got the watercolor feeling in the clouds. Let's see. One thing I do watch out for are like corners like this. Like this one.
Corners, I'm sorry. Because it's a hard edge?
What was that?
It's a hard edge, is that the problem?
Yeah. What you could do is just maybe take a little water to it and soften it. You just lose the edge with a stiff brush and then maybe even add some white if you like. Are you using any white?
No.
Oh, okay. God, it looks like you're using white in here. Wow. Then then don't use any white if you don't want. And then I watch out for those things. On the other hand, see this drip right here? That I love a puddly edge, and I'll leave that up to you. If it doesn't bug you, then don't do it. Just remember, when you have hard edges and a lot of contrast, usually that's where the eye will go.
Right. Exactly.
On the other hand, you could say, well, Rob, I was using this to point us back into the composition. See, so you're wrong.
Exactly. All thought out.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my thinking on that. I like how you change the land and the escaping of it, like this little piece of light way back here. I like that.
Mm-hmm. One thing that bothers me is that reflection that you're right there. It just seems like it's too prominent.
Okay, so then I would take some water,
Right.
And stamp it a few times until you get it lightened up. And then I would take these colors
and put it in.
The lighter greens. I mean,
Right.
I don't have the right colors, but it's
I understand. Yeah, rather
it's
than
a
the
greener
black.
thing.
Yeah. Good.
Here too. And what's happening here is, remember, you're going to catch the underside of this mostly.
Right.
So it hit that pretty dark. Nice shadows on the ground here. This is just fine what you have down there. And anything else you want to reflect in, you can take some of this down in here too if you like. Just
right. Do you think the area underneath the clouds and above the trees is just too blank? That area.
You see what you did here?
Yeah.
Just a couple of squigglies. I would do that.
Right.
And keep them really horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even do, for some background here, if you like. You remember we were just talking about that. Maybe hitting a little bit of something.
Right. Getting another layer back in the distance.
If you like. Could do something.
I kind of like the contrast of the dark trees without anything. I mean, it just gives it some distance. Oh no, you're not supposed to put dark in the back, but
well, you can, and I have seen it, but I'm just talking about for atmospheric perspective. Usually we want it a little bit darker in the foreground.
Right.
I'm thinking this tree right here maybe needs a little bit more shadow.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
On this side.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody casted a shadow, I forgot, over here.
That's nice. That's a good idea.
I went ahead and I just threw a little cast shadow on my piece real quick. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a little more shadow on the ground here too. So those are some things. Yeah. And who's to say you don't have a much darker tree? Some trees are extremely dark and some trees are really bright. So if you have a bright tree in the foreground, it's not going to be as contrasty as a really dark tree 500 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
So
great.
It could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. That's
welcome.
Great.
Thank you. And Marie. Pretty. Nice colors. I like those really these are what I call romantic clouds. When they have a lot of drama. That's the whole thing that the romantic artists are going for. They weren't going for romance. They were going for drama, Okay. Yeah, you got that background way on the back there too. Yeah, look at that distance. Nice distance. A little more anchoring on the bottom of things. So I just anchor things with shadows. So just the skinniest little shadows way off here.
Oh, okay.
Just way off. Maybe something there. A couple way back there. And it helps. I wish I could get the line skinnier. Maybe this will work. I don't know. But it helps if you could use a really skinny, no, it's too light. Really, I just don't have anything dark. All I have is black. I'll use a brown shadow way back there and really skinny so you can still see a little light behind the tree.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Way back. They make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like this little thing back here, this little value we put in the background. You leave it out and it looks fine. You put it in and it makes a little bit of a difference. That's all. About your water's great. The cows, I love the cows silhouetting. Now you do have the one 2, 3.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Kind of.
there is a group of cows underneath that,
Right, this one, yeah.
but I don't, you know,
You know what I might do is I might overlap on one more.
yeah, because they're spaced evenly
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
This is a really nice grouping off to the right you have there. That's a really nice group.
Well, I
like
did
that. That's really well done.
I did the 2 cows at the beginning and the end first, and they were the same shape. And so I thought, oops. And so I threw that other little.
You threw this guy in?
Yeah.
It made all the difference because the
That's
two of them
correct.
almost identical.
Yeah.
Look at that. See, that's all I'm talking about.
You.
Little things.
Yeah.
And I'll do little things like yeah, like you did here. Put a little plant along the, just for a little more overlapping, and I probably should do it on my own too. A couple more little bushes and plants and things that could overlap. They really say that this land is in front of this water. You know, you can see a little bit more shadow back there. I mean, I'm virtually looking at a finished painting here. Maybe a little shadow under the bridge. You see where I put that?
Yeah.
Because that bridge is so close to what to the shadow. It's right above it, and it wouldn't be getting any light right up in there. So I at least get a little something up in there. And I think that's about it.
Okay.
Small little details, you know.
Thanks.
It's a nice looking painting.
Thanks.
And if anything, we are falling into kind of a ball shape here.
Yeah.
Just a touch of those. You know, we can. Those are the kind of things I leave and I come back later and I hit a little touch here, a little touch there.
Yeah.
Nibble on my lunch.
Well, thank you.
Salad. All right, thank you. All right, Henry.
Rob,
Right.
can you find the second email I sent you? I touched
You have
it.
another one? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see.
It's just R with a reply just moments ago. Yeah. Thank you.
There we go. Hey, look at all that color in the sky. See, now yours doesn't look as stormy.
Oh yeah, I tried to make it sunny.
Yours looks more like a Turner.
Oh yeah, that was.
Turner does lighter paintings.
Yeah,
Constable is quite heavy.
I wasn't familiar with Constable. I would look for him later.
Yeah, they're a little more heavy. All right, nice tree grouping right here. I like that tree grouping.
Thank you.
Like how they're all just hanging out. Yeah, and you got the little blue gray in the background, easy.
Yeah, I took your trick there.
I like how you gave the land a little bit more hill to it. I can really feel that if you all want to take a look, it's what's giving the land shape away is the way he's using the shadows. So he's pulling the shadows downhill, downhill, downhill. And they're giving us this feeling that the land is moving down. That's great. You can pull this one downhill. Great.
Okay.
That's fun to do.
Yeah, it's nice photo to start with.
So if you wanted to emphasize that a little bit more, you could take a little bit of shading
In the ditch.
lighter than this, but along this edge here, and it'll make you feel like this piece of land is more in front of this piece of land with just a little bit of shading as it comes down into the sort of gully there. That's just something. Because that's about all I can think of. I mean, this is a nice painting.
Thank you.
Nice grouping here too. Shadows, fantastic. I don't think you need to get any darker.
Yeah, that's the things I changed this from the first photo. I darkened it.
Oh yeah, it was too dark.
It was too light compared to the
light.
first. Yeah, I think the reflection was darker in this one. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I like about this painting, you see this blue in the shadow in the background, everybody? He has it over the water. Gosh, that was a great move. I'm not even sure I would think of to do that move, but that's such a nice move because it really feels like shadow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tried to do the water behind, then I added the dark. It was a tough area. I did with gouache eventually.
So I could, even in these lights in here between that, I would probably cover a little bit of blue on those.
Okay.
Same color.
Yeah, because I think there was a reflection, dark reflection of the back trees in the water, so that's why it's dark, kind of against the light in the front. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna add that blue.
Yep. And I can see maybe a little bit of like a bush or something overlapping the water here. The only reason I would put it in there is just to make it feel more like this is in front of this.
Okay.
See, right now what's going on is you got this in front of this. Let me do it like this.
Yeah, there should be some bush. I see that in the photo.
Because look at the overlap. You got this in front of this, in front of this, in front of this, and it just keeps going and going and going and going. That's what gives us the distance. So just a couple more moves. I think like that might be one. So you got, that and this and this and this.
Yeah, that echoes the communicate with the other bank. I think, that's.
Yeah. All right, and your clouds are beautiful. Wow, nice and light.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Nice colors. Very free.
Yeah, I had the Naples yellow to start with, so there's gouache in it.
Yeah. Oh, Naples yellow is a great color to use in clouds. You know, it's got white in it.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah, I on the light part. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the good lesson. I learned from another master as well as you. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is Alice. Okay, let's see. Oh, I love those clouds.
Thank you.
You use a little white in them too. Yeah, that worked for you.
I did, yeah.
And a little bit of yellow here and there. All right. That's working great.
Thank you.
Let's see now. Some little shadows beneath your animals, so your,
Yeah.
I don't know why. Cows are animals.
Some of them don't look
I thought
like
I'd point that out. A little something down there.
Yeah.
I mean, very little bit, just a little mark. Well, it does something. Just kind of grounds it. Anything that feels like it's floating, and that's about all that felt like it was floating.
Yeah.
These shadows are a little dark in the background there. And I love this shadow on the ground right here. This is great.
Thank you.
This is perfect. Yeah.
Do you think the water needs some kind of, it's like all white. It doesn't seem to reflect the sky.
Oh, it feels like the sky. Yeah, I think it just needs a couple of little tree things in it.
Oh, okay.
Like here, you got a lot of dirt, so maybe you'd only get like this much tree in it or something. Like this would definitely be in there.
Okay,
You could even kind of go, wow, you know,
yeah.
if you want. That'll make it feel a little waterish.
Yeah,
I like how you brought your river right in. That's nice.
Well, because I didn't put in the bridge, so
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's what I recommend you do. Put a big bridge right there. Just joking. Oh, you're like, is he serious? Right there, yeah. I know how to make paintings work. Yeah, big bridge right there. I love a bridge with a reflection, though. You know, when I was in Idaho, they had a lot of scenes like this.
Yeah.
And I painted all these cows right on, and I was right on the river. I mean, I was in a boat painting cows and little bridges like this, and they're reflected into the water. They're fantastic.
Oh, wow. That's a good idea, actually.
Oh, they get so many good stuff to look at out there. I'm sure they take it all for granted, but oh well.
I liked your idea in my past paintings to make things look further away, to add a whitewash, kind of.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for the background trees.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I put a wash all across the background there.
Oh, yeah. A little white, a little gray maybe in it, or?
It was a white with a little bit, yeah, it was a kind of a dirty white.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
Thank you.
All right, nice painting. I got to say right away, your clouds just got me. That's a really nice, they move.
Thank you.
Look at that thing from far away too, you'll see. I mean, look at it really small. They move. Okay.
Oh, wow, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Michelle. All right. I think we got a pretty cool light on this photograph, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I probably could have warmed up that light. Maybe I should retake it.
Oh, it's okay. That's totally fine. I do it all the time. I just take it for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have any problem doing the romantic landscape thing. That's kind of like your nature to do that anyway.
Yeah, I think it's because I like that high contrast, right?
Yeah. I've said that to you probably many times.
You have, and
I'm getting sick of it. No, I'm just joking.
No, I'm just deciding if what it is that I do that is. I think it's the high contrast that makes it that way.
Yeah, but you can. I can hear just in the tone of your voice that you're a passionate person, and that really comes through in your paintings. So
when we talk about politics.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, we won't go there. And,
no, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, it shows in all of your paintings over the years. You know, you can see that. So, all right. I mean, got neat water. Is it kind of shiny and wet here, or does it really come out like that?
The contrast isn't quite that. That's wash on top of that, on top of white paper. So, is it that shiny? Maybe not, because the gouache may be reflecting a little bit more light than the matte watercolor.
So, if you like, about all I can think of here is just maybe a couple more reflections.
Okay.
But I don't even know if that's really helping much.
Oh no, I like that last one you put in there. Yeah. That's good. That's a nice shade.
Something like that. That's about all I can. Maybe this long one here, you know.
Yeah.
So
that edge on the top of the cloud, not too hard.
If you didn't say anything, I probably wouldn't have noticed. But that is a place where I like to put a little white. Sometimes when I have a hard edge like that,
okay.
I think because we have so much contrast down here and here, that I'm I'm not really noticing it, but that's a place where I'll smack a little white, and then I'll just hit a little water and let it do its thing.
Yeah. And so the bridge not too stark either.
Well, I like how you pulled some like stuff over the bridge, over the front of the bridge. That was a good move.
That's a wrong move, yeah. There you go.
I know, I am wrong. And you know what? I didn't do it, and I'm kind of thinking I should.
Yeah, well, somebody taught me that. That's what I'm saying.
I haven't said I am wrong in a long time.
This is a challenging one for me. I don't know that I'm in love with it. There are parts of it I like, but I don't know.
English watercolor. They must have lots of land like this because England and Netherlands and things like that. Really flat.
Well, honestly, this looks just like Iowa. I mean, this could be a river in Iowa very easily.
Are you from there?
From Iowa, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The only reason I say that, I was thinking I was going to send it to one of my relatives in Iowa because they wouldn't know that it was someplace else. There, you can have that one.
Yeah, I've been to Iowa once. You know, we had cousins out there back then, and they had a farm. So that was my big, like, real farm experience.
Well, if you raise cows, you weren't too far away from the farm.
Yeah, we had I didn't know what real weather was until I went out there. I was like, whoa, I could not believe the weather. I mean, lightning strikes right over your head.
Yep.
So I feel like maybe you could give a couple of these clouds a couple of bottoms to it if you like.
Okay.
There you go. I'm just hitting a couple of little bottom.
Those darker, yeah.